Sean here, and I have some updates. I've done a lot of digging. I've been honest with you guys, a lot of digging. I've had some help. I was correct in everything that I've said. There is something else though. It goes much deeper than I thought. If Chancy Poo was assigned to a private mental health care professional, qualified professionals as they call them, they could initiate the process. But it starts at the county level and at the base county level. So like a social worker, the cops. Unfortunately for us, the cops have not seen the psycho go psycho on either his family or the cops. He's only cried, begged, pleaded, and I'm sure they've seen that all before. Pathetic, scared, and they probably felt sorry for him. I couldn't find the 43 designation. I could only find in the Cincinnati PD mischief makers or troublemakers. Maybe it's a private code that Akron uses. I was told maybe it was one they use in the actual PD because there's not a state-specific designation that is universal across the board. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to call him a 43. Also keep in mind that when you are attempting to do this, the magistrate is involved. They're kind of like the approval point, right? So social worker, police, private mental health care facility, his parental figures probably have to be involved. But if they are deemed, man, this whole thing is a mess, because think about this. This is what I have to keep reminding myself. Legal rights and freedoms will be taken from a U.S. citizen. Constitutionally, you would really have, let me just say, the designation would have to be final, it'd have to be thorough, be lengthy, because you are taking all of the freedoms and rights away from somebody. Think about somebody coming in and just taking that from you and not having a say in it. Maybe your family fights it. Or worse, they fight it and they get it to the NAMI level. This is where they do the education and support. We've talked about this. I'm not going to go completely into it. But they would educate his family on what to look for and how to treat it. And I've already made how to deal with delusional people and so on and so forth. And then they would have maybe once a week, twice a week, a healthcare professional steps in, counsels them, counsels the family. They would hate that. You're taking time out of doing nothing. And NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Off the top of my head, I hope I did that correctly. Now, as for disability, if someone is on disability and they're getting money for disability, they are disabled. But then you do the classifications and qualifications. I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm just reiterating that that is a whole can of worms in itself. One thing I can count on, though, is they don't know their disability rights if Chance is on disability. They haven't researched that. The only thing they've researched, most likely, is financial support, straight up. And they do have a legal department that deals with emergency hospitalization, and patient rights in the state of Ohio. So people have representation on their own. Do you see the tangled web that this is? I had hoped that he was on some sort of medication, but you know, if he was, he'd be out telling everybody how horrible the medication was. What a burden, or how he's handling it like nobody else has ever handled it before. You'd know the name of the medication. You know how many he takes a day, times 2, of course. He's an unreliable narrator. An affidavit would have to be provided, and the social worker would have to put it into probate court. The court would have to review it. That's where the magistrate would get involved. This is where the evidence is reviewed, so it needs to be bulletproof, ironclad. Then the court proceedings would happen, where they determine if the goblin needs long-term mental health care. So the parallel agencies are the police and social workers. That's what I was mentioning. Having an in, having somebody that knows somebody. But I just want to reiterate, a danger to themselves or a danger to others, proven. And those are kind of emergency situations. It's not impossible. It is difficult. The write-ups are a little tricky, especially when there's legal history, like Cyraxx has. But the nature of the legal history is mostly violence, if not all violence. God help Sally and Ed if they're drugging this little goblin up and he's not aware. If they're crumbling it in his food, I'm going to make something clear. If a patient is being medicated and they don't know they're on their medication, they don't know they're on that medication, and they're not deemed mentally unfit to care for themselves, which I know Sally has not pursued, there's an issue there. You can't just roofie people. You know what I mean? Imagine the damage that would do to you psychologically if you can't figure out why there's a drastic sudden change in your behavior. You're tired all the time, and not just because of no sleep. At the very least, a patient who's not deemed mentally unfit would have the right to know what it is that they have being put in their system. And the whole socioeconomic situation, physical health, that's another can of worms too. All I'm saying is everything so far has been right, but it looks like at the local level, the county level, that's where it has to occur. And that's where you have to be rock solid. I don't know, again, I say this a lot, I don't know, I understand that. If someone has a contact at Akron PD directly, someone they know, someone that may know them, I mean, hopefully not, oh, it's him again, but somebody they may know that can say, look, here's what we're doing. Would you be willing to be a character witness of some kind? Probably not. There's no fucking way they would ever agree to that. Would you be willing to do a write-up of everything that's been going on? Support the fact that he's mentally unstable. You've observed his behavior at the station, on site, in the car. Man, I wish I could have heard those in-car conversations. Guys, please turn around. All of those God videos, all of that's important. But the most important thing is kicking this sumbitch off correctly and to the right person with the right support and with the right path. So anyway, I just wanted to make an addendum. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Hey, it doesn't make sense to me, dude.